Hey guys, I thought I'd show you what I do on Arena these days. I've maxed out all my buildings, my glory buildings, so I don't really have any use for glory. So instead, what I've been trying to do is make an auto team, so I can auto Arena just like the rest of the game. So this is my current team, and it's sped up ×2 because it's really slow. Um, but it can hit almost any target, and it wins just about as often as I win when I'm trying on my own, so it's pretty successful. So what I'm going to do today is let it auto through a full bank of wings. I think I have like 7 or 8 wings, and we're going to auto every target on the list. We're not skipping anything. Normally I would skip things that it doesn't auto very well sometimes, but it's worth letting it try. And it's kind of fun to let it auto too, because it's kind of like watching a Summoner's War movie, because they hit things I would never hit, and they do things wrong, and you're kind of rooting for them, and people die, and you're like, oh, if they'd only done something smarter, they would still be alive. So it's kind of fun. But the theory behind the team is it's fire heavy, so they're all going to focus one target. Um, Passive healing, so we've got Racuni passively healing and Perna passively healing, and so they heal each other. Laika is healing himself with his vampire set, and then Eladriel is, rezzing anything that goes wrong. There's my first win. So I think I was ranked 700 when I started, 500 now, something like that. So the goal is to get all the way to G1. So we'll see how we do. Usually, when I use all my wings, I finish mid 100s, like 150, something like that. So I can get up into G1. To get into G2, that's not usually likely based on my defense. Right now, I'm actually setting this team as defense just to see what it'll do. And it's winning maybe around 19%, something like that. So not bad. Like, I can't really make a very good defense. When I make a good defense, it wins like low to mid 20s. So I'm still searching for that defense that will just annoy people. But I take it against everything. This Sierra Malacca team, I probably would avoid normally just because look at those bombs. I mean, they put 3 bombs on Eladriel before she could sustain. But Racuni and Laika kind of came back, and as soon as Sierra was down, we're good. Sometimes when I'm paying a little more attention, I'll single target the threat, and that makes the team way more successful, but it's way more fun to just let them go for it and see what happens. The Laika is probably really crucial for the team because he mitigates a lot of the AoE that people do. So any of these AoEs, he's going to be stealing turns and stunning. So he's stealing the turn by getting an extra turn and then stunning them down. So he's taking one of their turns too. So it's really, really good turn advantage. And I also like him as the leader just for that defense lead. Buffs up my whole fire team. A team like this, these guys can auto all day because there's no real threat. And whenever there's no burst threat, my guys are usually way better at sustaining. Immunity can sometimes be an issue because then Laika's not stunning, and you have to rely on Eladriel to strip the will, which happens randomly. But a team like this is not going to be a big issue. So this was nice to see on the list. All my guys are really fast. I think the Perna, I think the Racuni's fastest. I want to say, no, is that right? Racuni's like 200, so he's actually on the slow side, but he's super tanky. I think he's HP, because I want him to be able to take a bunch of hits in RTA and stay alive. The Perna this month I built really fast. I want to say high 230s, like 237. We'll take a look at the runes at the end. And then the Laika's pretty fast for most Laikas. I think he's around 209 on Vampire. I would like to have him on Nemesis, but I don't have the Nemesis builds for him. My Nemesis runes are not good enough. So he's on Vampire Blade just to get those stats. Around 90% crit, 150 crit damage. My Eladriel used to be my best rune support, but lost a lot of the runes at the last rune removal. Still doing okay, but not like Eladriel used to be. So this team worries me a little bit because of the immunity and the Zyros. Zyros or any sort of reset like a Sekhmet can mess up. Just makes Eladriel useless, and so then if something goes wrong, then Eladriel's not there to pick up the slack. So going into this, I was a little bit worried. So we'll see. Right now, the Zyros isn't really doing what he normally does. Laika's down. Luckily, they decided to target the Zyros. I don't know how they choose, but that's who I would have had them target if I was choosing. I like the Eladriel heal into the heal block there on Racuni. That was pretty useful. So Zyros is down. Now it's just Eladriel and Perna. Eventually, Eladriel will get the res up. Laika will come up first. That's another use of having Laika as the leader. He gets the first res. Because Racuni being down isn't a big deal, but Laika being down really hurts my DPS. That's the second heal into a heal block. I guess it's the Bastet doing the heal block? That's pretty nice. So I got a little second with no will, and now they're just nuking it down. I'd like to build my Laika a little more resistant. Like I fought a couple of high-res Laikas in RTA, and it was pretty nice. But he just wants every single stat. There's just no way to do it. So just finishing off the Bastet. Usually water monsters aren't much of an issue when they're the last ones. And Laika can solo anything. Like Laika can solo Camillas in RTA, which I really like. He's one of my big Camilla counters. Alright, how many wings we got left? Looks like 4 wings. This might be kind of a threat, because they'll kill Ratesh first, and then they'll try to kill Racuni, I think. And that's exactly what Racuni wants. He wants to get hit as much as possible, so we'll see. Getting those stuns, though, are so nice. Like when those AoEs come off from the Fairy King, getting Laika in there is just pretty sweet. But this team is a little slow. That's the only downside. But when you put it on auto, it goes pretty quickly. But it's not as fast as manualing. I use a bomb team when I manual with Sierra Bastet. But I actually did Rush Hour full auto this week. I should have recorded it. That would have been cool. I was like, all right, I'm just going to auto every single thing in Rush Hour. And I think I finished G3 because I couldn't attack enough. And I just used the wings I had. I don't think refilling would have helped me much. I don't think it would have made me G1, but I was attacked 10 times during rush hour and 4 times in the last 30 minutes, which was probably my best rate of being attacked in the last 30 minutes, so I was pretty happy with that, and it makes me wish I had pushed a little more to try to get up there, but I feel like if sometimes when you push more, you get into Guardian, and then, you know, people push back as well. They don't really care for G3, but they want to be Guardian too. So this one looks like it turned out pretty good. We just nuked down the Racuni, and now they're just finishing off Orion. We'll move on to our next wing. Oh, this one. I was like, when I hit play, I was like, oh, this is not actually worth watching, but it was on the list, so I'm clearing the list. So we'll just kill this guy real quick and move on. The thing that made me want to upload my auto team was the other day I autoed a defense, and then I looked at it, and it was Ferocni, who's one of my favorite streamers. And I was like, wow, like, to me, he's really, really good. And I was like, man, this team must be better than I thought. Like, I was just kind of messing around, and sometimes it loses, and sometimes it's bad, but I was like, if it could, you know, take out Ferocni's defense, I should probably share it with people, show them what's going on. Because I think the challenge of making an auto arena team is, you know, it's just another little side project in the game. And to have one that can kind of handle all situations is tough. Because sometimes, like if I face this team really can't beat arena, I found. A good arena will just sit there all day and just do nothing. And so sometimes I'll switch in Sierra lead, and that'll kill the arena, but then it's like, well, then that's not a full auto team. Like, can't kill everything. So Rena is the weakness. Camilla, no, but Rena, definitely the weakness. So we're just going to finish up these last few blue ones, and we'll be all done. When I'm doing RTA and I see a Camilla, I immediately pick Laika and I pick Sierra. Sierra's like the eternal Camilla counter. But I feel like I want to talk later about RTA. When you see that unit you can't deal with, you either know you got to ban it or you have to have double answers. Because if I just brought the Sierra, they would ban it and they'd say, okay, I'm good. And if I didn't have a Laika, you know, then the Camilla's going to solo me. But Tessarian's another good one to counter Camillas. Not as reliable, really, and they'll usually try to nuke him down, so I could show my Tessarian sometime, but I build him really, really tanky, like a support monster as well. Alright, so we're at Guardian now. We're at 244. Oh, yeah, this is a Fami I saw. I had never seen a Fami in-game. I think it's a Japan-only monster, maybe? I had never seen one, so I was like, oh, what is that? I didn't even recognize the picture, so I was just gonna stop, and I was like, alright, I gotta see this last defense. I don't even know what she does. It looks like she does like an AoE attack break. And I think she's the only crit damage leader, if I remember right. But this match, I let go longer than I should. It just goes and goes and goes. The problem, I was like, why are they having so much trouble with it? The defense buff is obviously an issue. And then the Molly is hurting Perna, but not Laika because of the passive. Um, I think it's the fact that they're all the same element. And so my guys are just attacking them all at random. And with that comp, they can sustain through splitting up your attacks. So, Molly and Iris, and the Iridas, I think that's what it is. They're all just going to sustain through not picking a target. So we get the draw screen here, and I let it go more than I should have. But eventually I click on Iris just to get a target, just to see. I'm not even sure if this team can beat this all light team. But they nuked down the Fami, and I was like, okay, so they killed one. That's usually a good sign. But then they just don't pick a target for a really, really long time. Maybe I should just fast forward through. This is kind of boring. Let's see here. Yeah, this fight goes on forever. Let's see. Is it still going? Yeah, it's still going. So I've got the draw option now. And it's still going. So eventually I clicked on the Magic Knight, and then they got it together. So the last thing I want to show you is my runes for my monsters. We'll let them finish off Molly, and we'll take a look at those runes. So, I mean, I know this is not a full auto team that most people can make because it's 3 nat 5s, but I think part of the challenge in the game is how do I find an auto team? Like, what would be a fun auto team? And I'd like to make more. I'd like to make more auto teams just to have some variety. I think a full water team would be cool, but then again, you gotta have a really tanky water monster. So maybe if I had like a Chandra or something like that. And this team would be way better if I had a defense break. I'm kind of toying with putting Sin in there. So finished 211. There's my victory rate, about 91%. So it loses pretty often, but for not having to do anything, it's pretty good. These are my Laika runes, Vamp Blade. Some of my best runes. Need to max that 5 slot. Here's my Perna. So it looks like she's 138, 139. That 4 slot is one of my best runes, the 23 speed. Racuni, 190. Vampire Revenge. I like the Revenge, just gives me a little more kick if I need the speed buff. And then my Eladriel is 213 on Violent Will. That 2 slot Will is one of my best runes. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it was informative. And yeah, I will see y'all next time.